who's going to teach us how to secure the bag. We have Kevin Thorbourne, who works to give youth a wide variety of community service opportunities and serves as the Director of Minority Affairs for the town of Huntington. So let's give it up for him.
How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I just want to tell you a little bit about myself first. My name is Kevin Thorbourne. So how I got started, I actually started at a pretty young age with having kids, actually, and then my kid's mother passed away, and I had to figure out, a plan really fast on how I was going to support my family. So, but in the meantime, I already started doing music, and a friend of mine was working with a couple of artists that, some of you young people probably not going to know, but artists, Black Rob, Puff Daddy, you all probably know Biggie. So they were working with artists like that at Bad Boy, right? So a friend of mine, his name is Phenom. He was a artist that was with Black Rob. So and he lived out in our community. So I was helping him, and then one day he said, "Listen, why don't you come give me a ride out?" So I have to go to Daddy's house, which was Puffy's studio. So I drove out there with him one day, and I stayed there. I think we were there for like 6 or 7 hours, and then we were going out after. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. Then they all wanted to go out, so we went out, and I was able to just see how things were moving, how Puff Daddy was able to move, and how he was putting people in place to be very successful. And the next day came, and I told Phenom, "Listen, can we go back out there?" And he brought me back out, and I got a chance to meet with Black Rob and some of the other artists. And at first, it was listen. I was there. I was watching. I was going to pick up food for people and drinks and bringing it back. But to them, that's what I was doing. But to me, I was listening and learning and seeing what was going on, so that way I could bring that what I learned there back to my community and build that in my community. So I started doing that, and from that, then they started noticing, like, wow, this guy is. I started going out there every day, and they started noticing, without this guy's going here every day, like, So Black Rob asked me, "Listen, would you want to come work with me?" And I'm, absolutely. So I started working with him. Then Tony Dofat, who is one of Puffy's main producers, same thing, asked me would I want to work with him. I started working with him. But at the same time, I was learning. I was picking everything up. And then, but I always wanted to sit down and just really concentrate on what Puffy was doing, because he also had that Mamba mentality, So, and I wanted to learn more about it. So I started sitting in on some of the meetings that they were having and listening to what they were doing and watching him. And one day, because my son plays sports, so meanwhile I'm in Manhattan, I live in Huntington, so I would go out there after dropping my son off at practice here, go out there for an hour, drive back to Huntington, which is maybe an hour and 15 minutes away. Then I pick my son up from practice, bring him to his grandmother, then drive back out there. So one day they stopped and they was like, "Listen, where were you?" Like, that's how Puffy talks. He was like, "Boss man, where'd you go?" And I'm like, "I had to go pick my son up." And I told him the whole story. I just told you guys. And he was like, "No way possible you did that." I'm like, "Yeah, I do that. I'm almost doing that every day, because I have to do it and I want to do it." So then he said to me, "Listen, you can go buy some of this equipment and do it in your own community." And I said, "No," I said, I know, but I want to learn from what you guys are doing." And from that point on, I started watching more, then I started buying my own equipment. And that's what I did. So you can see in the background, I started buying my own equipment. And, I built a studio in my community. In the first couple of years, I used it for some of the artists I was working with. But for the past 10 years, I wanted to educate and give other young people the same opportunity that I had, give them the same opportunity. So I have an open door for all the young people in our community to come in, and they have ownership. and they come in and they have the equipment. I probably spent over $250,000 in equipment, and they have access to it. They have keys. I sublet it to them, and I let them run their own businesses here. But I teach them and I talk to them, and I school them on how to be successful in this business and be able to let a business run for you. You know, and so now I just mentor them, and I watch them grow. Um, and so what I've done with that is I said, you know what, let me bring some more younger people in. So that's what we started doing. Started bringing more young people in. But in that whole process, I also wanted to get other jobs. So I wanted to work so I can get health insurance. So I have to pay a lot of money in health insurance. So I started going on job interviews, and I started learning how to present myself in front of other people when I'm on a job interview. But I've learned from a lot of different people. And actually, like a couple of gentlemen said, some of the brothers said that were speakers tonight, I'm learning from them. I'm listening to them. And I'm learning a lot. So you always can learn. Like there's never a time where you say you know everything. There's always room to learn, and that's what I'm doing. Like even Matt Johnson, like the brother used to come. I coach, so the brother used to come to our practice. I used to watch him and learn from him. Mr. Perkins, Martinez, Miss Harris. Like I learned a lot from them, and I watch what they do and how they do it, and then I bring it to myself when I go home, and I sit down for 5 and 10 minutes, a little bit of time that I have, and I look in the mirror sometime and I say, you know what? These are the things I'm going to do tomorrow. These are the things I'm going to do today, and I'm going to work on those things. I'm going to be a better person every day, and that's what I work on. So with that said, we started doing different workshops for young people in the community. So we bring everybody together, and we work on showing them how to get summer jobs or temporary jobs leading up to full jobs, because these summer jobs that you guys are getting is very important that they are interviews for future jobs. So because a lot of times these summer jobs set you up for, maybe you might want to go, whether it's for your town or whether it's like you're working for your camps, like you might work at those jobs, and maybe one day you might want to be a director of that camp, or you might want to come back and be the whole director of that department in that town. So those are all interviews. So make sure when you get these jobs over the summer, like you present yourself in a proper way. When you go to work, put your phone in your pocket, or and don't take it out unless you have a break. Like don't be on your phone. Don't be in a bunch where you're all talking together. Like try to concentrate on your goals and what you have to do while you're there. If they have rules and regulations there, follow those rules and regulations. You understand? Like, so, because the important thing is that you're there on a job interview. Even though you're working summertime jobs, those are job interviews. That's where I worked when I was doing the music, and I started doing all this stuff. I needed to get my son into a camp. I brought him to a camp, and they would not let me sign him up for it because it was too late. So I said, listen, I'll volunteer as a counselor. And I did that for 2 years. And it ended up where they asked me, would I please come in and work? But they had no positions available. So I said, just put me wherever you want to put me. And I was a counselor. Then it ended up being that the following year, I was the director of the camp. And then for a couple of years, I was director of the camp. And then eventually they called me in to be the director of minority affairs. But I've learned from different steps, and watching different people. So putting everything together, right? So you always, even though it's a part-time job, you should work on a resume. So you can go, like every town should have like some sort of resource centers or youth centers where you can go to, and they have people that can help you write a resume. So you should start early on that, like working on a resume, so that way you know how to put it together at an early age. And then when you get a little older, it'd be a little easier for you. And then you have like a template from when you were younger. You can look back and say, okay, these are my goals, and this is what I want to do. And you can start from there. You can work from there. That's very important, is to learn from your mistakes, but also have a path from your age now to maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. That way, you know the path that you want to go down, and any mistakes that you made, you don't make those same mistakes. So getting the resume done at an early age is very important. So go to these youth centers. If they don't have it at your youth center where you live, then you ask for it, you request it. Have your parents call and say, we need someone here that knows how to write resumes to help our kids in our community. That's very, very important, right? But while you're also doing that, go online, look at different job opportunities. Like even at a young age, it's important that you know what's out there. So go online, look what's out there. If you go to each town has a town hall, and they have to post different job opportunities. So you can look and see what jobs they have available, and see a description of those jobs. So that way you know what's out there for yourself, right? Another thing is school. School is I can't stress it more, that it's very important to educate yourself in school. And if your schools don't have departments like these departments that can help you with your resumes, that can help you like gold building, if they don't have that, you request that. Especially now with everything going on, a lot of schools are bringing resources in because they feel obligated to do it, and they have to do it. So you can start requesting certain things to bring into your schools if you don't have it. That's very important. But now, like I don't want to talk the whole time. I want to see if anybody have any questions. But that's really important that you guys are listening, but also to ask me questions. So anybody have any questions
I
or
do have a
comment?
question.
Yeah.
In regards to earlier what you said, especially with the jobs, I'm seeking a job myself, and especially in regards to a resume, what do you suggest, or any advice you can give of how do I prepare my resume on the jobs I'm looking for at a specific age, maybe now that are not permanent, but that can help me kind of build up that resume?
Right. I couldn't hear that well, but what field are you going into? Like what job is that?
Well, I wanted to work at my field of interest in regards to academics is marketing as well as business. But the job I was currently looking for, especially for the summer, is working at a supermarket. I didn't know if there would be something I could look for specifically to go later on into, or just advice I could be given.
Right. So,
Yeah.
all right, that's perfect. So right now, so we're in 3 crises right now. So right now, we're in a health crisis, we're in an economic crisis, right? And we're in a racist crisis right now. And we're trying to combat all those crises at one time. But as far as the economy, the supermarkets have been keeping our economies afloat right now. Because if you notice, everything has been off of the shelves for the past 3 months. It's hard to get everything. So these supermarkets are thriving. So those are really good jobs if you wanna go into that, because they're hiring all the time. So if you I'm not sure what town you live in. So it's important that, like I said, you find what youth centers are in your town, and even if you go there and they're not open, there's a telephone number. It has to be a telephone number, and for assistance, and you request them to help you with a resume. If you can't, if you can reach out to Miss Harris, or you can leave on the chat line your name and your number. I'll have someone call you back that can help you with that. So. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, definitely. So also too, for some people that want to go into law, we just had a meeting with the DA's department, and they're willing now to bring in some interns. So anyone that wants to intern, you put your name on the chat, also your telephone number. I'll make sure someone contact you with that also. So, it's all about networking. So if we don't talk, then we can't help each other. Because that's what it's all about. It's about networking, and also too, like that's all I do is network. I have a lot of resources. And Martine, to tell you, like we always joke about it, is like, I'm not afraid to share my resources. Like I don't, like, because some people, resources stop at their table. That's not me. My resources spread out. I love giving resources to everyone. So I have some people right now that want to invest in Black-owned businesses. I have people right now that want to mentor people that have Black-owned businesses. I have people right now that want to hire African Americans or people of Hispanic to their businesses. So please leave your information. I'll put my info. I'm not sure. Listen, I'm old school. I'm learning, but I don't know how to put my information on there. So I'll say it, and then you can write it down. So I don't know how to do it. So I just learned how to do the Zoom. I had to learn how to do the Zoom thing because I've been having a lot of Zoom meetings, but I'm not really good at it. So, but I have a team of people that do it for me. So, but I'm gonna give you my information right now. My name is Kevin Thorbourne, or you can call me Coach K. I'm gonna give you my cell phone number. My cell phone number is 516-322-2286. It's 516-322-2286. And I have a lot of resources. So I'm throwing out to you right now. So that way you have no excuse not to call me.
What age can I intern or get a job?
Right. So through the county, through Suffolk County, and I'm almost positive Nassau County, if you're from Nassau County, has the same program. And even in the city, they have the same program. Thank you, McNeil. Thank you for my number up there. So they have a program that's called, well, they call it Project Excel, but Mr. Perkins took over that name for his school. But it's a Project Excel program. It's ages 14 to 21, right? So if you're 14 or 15 years old, you can work over the summer in your town, and the county would pay you. Now, here's the good thing about that is that most town jobs, like when you work at the camp, they're municipalities, so they don't have to pay you minimum wage. So most counselors at these camps make like $8.50 starting off with $9. But when you work for the county, they have to pay you minimum wage. So right now it's between $13 to $14. So you're making more money than if you're 14 years old, you're working with a 19-year-old, more than likely you're making more money than they are. So you can, and I have some applications for that. Or if you don't live in this town, I can refer you to whatever town you live in, so call me. And there's another program, I tell you too, that's part of the county. It's called the Out of School program. So if your age is 16 to 24 and you're no longer in school, whether you graduated, I'm sorry? Yeah, it's called the Out of School program. So whether you graduated high school or you're no longer in school, the same thing. They pay you minimum wage, so between $13, $14 an hour, and you work until the funds run out. So last year, I had some kids work for 6 months. It's just the other program, ages 14 to 21. It's a 7-week program, and sometimes they might extend it to 8 weeks. But the out of school program can go as long as the money's there. Any more questions? So I just want to say this last thing. So everyone, all the speakers, I think they all had their own speeches, and I think the one thing in common that we have is that you have to have that drive. You have to have that dedication, which is very, very important, because there's going to be some hard times. There was plenty of times where I wanted to quit. There was plenty of times where I want to stay home and stay in the bed and watch TV. Can't do that. That you can't do. If you really want this and you really want to be successful, you got to put that work in, and the hard work will pay off. I promise you that. It's a lot of hard work, but listen, if it was easy, everybody be doing certain things, right? And everybody be successful if it was easy. It's not easy. It's a lot of hard work, but it's worth it. Thank you. And if anybody else has any more questions, please call me.